I didn't have much time to get situated after my latest, nap? Blackout? Is it strange that I've been doing that so much now that it's actually starting to feel normal? Well, regardless, the second I woke up I was already being called to the bridge of the Avenger to deal with the latest in a long line of crises. As usual, Bradford was waiting with 2 reports in hand, each of them describing a situation that he felt we needed to address. The first report described how Advent was preparing to crack down on the black market and explained how we could thwart their efforts by accessing a hidden resistance computer. The second report described how Advent was getting ready to activate a new signal jamming relay, which could interfere significantly with the Avengers' scanning systems. As usual, Bradford expected me to choose which project to prioritize, and this time the choice seemed obvious. I lived on the Avenger, so it only made sense to keep Advent from disrupting our systems. And I wasn't really all that concerned about the criminals who were running the black market anyway. I decided to go after the alien relay, and Bradford quickly dubbed it Operation Blinding Rain. He loved giving things cute little nicknames. I guess it made it easier for him to overlook all the actual carnage that these operations tended to involve. Maybe I should start giving things nicknames too. This promised to be a fairly routine operation, so I looked at it as a chance to provide some valuable field experience to some of our lower-ranked squaddies. Michaelum stepped up as the squad's medic, with the Beast acting as point man. Messer went on range support, the Bear went on heavy support, and Pierce Wall served as the squad's designated rookie. It was a bit of a risk not sending a designated officer along with them, but I had faith that they'd be able to get that alien relay offline. After all, if there's one thing I've learned since taking command of XCOM, it's that our men really like to break things.
Signal triangulation is locked in the location of a hidden alien communications relay uploading data to the Advent network in this area. Disrupting the aliens' progress is our highest priority, so we're moving to destroy the relay before they complete the transfer. Terminate any hostile forces operating in the area. Secure the site and destroy that relay. Menace 1-5, the communications relay is up ahead. Move in and destroy the target.
Nice of them to give us a little sneak peek of what we've got lying in wait for us. I think that's our first Advent mech. Also, welcome back to Episode 6. Once again, we are starting off in the thick of things. Though this time we have a nice, simple objective. Destroy that relay, go home. It's a refreshing change of pace after dealing with all of those new mission types that were added in by the War of the Chosen expansion.
Hostile forces spotted.
Well, that was quick. There's our first enemy pod, and it's a pretty tough one. Looks like a mech and a Viper. So Advent's throwing 2 new types of enemies at us on this supposedly easy mission. The timer won't budge as long as we're still in stealth, so I don't think there's much benefit to starting the fight immediately. I think we'll move everyone a little closer first, before we kick things off with a grenade.
Moving on target location.
Though, of course, wherever possible, we'll want to move our guys into cover and set them into Overwatch, just in case that snake waifu decides to come straight towards us and blows our cover.
Bin schon dabei. Position confirmed. I'm on it. Roger. I'm on it.
Well, they moved directly away from us, which is a good thing. That means we can move up a little closer to the objective before we have to start the timer.
Closing on target position now. Time to motor.
though the lack of cover is making Michael fall behind a little. I think I'll have him sprint forward to a better position. And Messer is good where he is, I think. He can hold position on that elevated perch. That'll be a good spot for him to rain death from. Okay, they didn't move at all this time, so I think that means that they're at an ideal range for us to go ahead and start our attack. We'll start off with the grenade, of course. That will have the dual benefit of stripping off the Advent mech's armor and inflicting some nice starting damage to the Viper. But before we do that, let's get Messer set on Overwatch. He'll have a pretty decent chance of dropping one of these guys once they start scrambling after the grenade hits them. Alright, let's do it.
Frag out! We're busted!
This is an extremely well-equipped mechanized combat unit. We'll need to look for vulnerabilities.
Ah, very nice. Messer has no time for snaky love. That's one Viper out of the way, and now we can finish off the mech at our leisure. Now we'll start advancing with the rest of our squad, while laying down a withering hail of fire.
Órdenes confirmadas, en marcha. On my way.
And there we go. That takes care of the first Advent pod, so
Good copy.
that means we can move up with the Beast, and...
Advent forces on the ground.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, we triggered a second pod. Not really a good time for it. Unfortunately, that means we're facing off with another Viper and another Advent mech, and they're going to get a full turn before we can really do anything to them. Unfortunately, the Beast doesn't really have much in the way of good options here. He's only got a 40% chance to hit that Viper. And while I could do some guaranteed damage with a grenade, it wouldn't actually hinder her during her turn in any way. I'm tempted to go on Overwatch, but I guess I might as well just go ahead and take the 40% shot.
Adjusting sights.
No, Michaelum, don't give in to her slithery embrace. Oh, jeez. Well, now the Beast is half dead, too. Okay, well, first things first, let's see what Messer can do about fending off that Viper's, amorous advances. No luck there. Well, it looks like the Beast can hit the Viper through the wall with his sword, so let's go ahead and do that instead. Okay, that took off half her health, and yes, it did encourage her to back off.
Commander, we have a positive ID on the alien relay.
Now we have 3 more soldiers to work with before the aliens get another turn. We'll go ahead and bring Bear up. He'll hunker down under cover, and
Heading there now.
we'll go ahead and blow his second grenade on that mech. Like the first mech, this will strip off its armor and make it easier for the rest of our guys to knock it down. Now we need to get Michaelum out of the danger zone, but I want to move him somewhere where he can still flank this Viper. There's a couple of spots with good potential, but I'm a bit worried I might activate a third pod, and that's the last thing we need right now.
Marchando.
Okay, so far so good. Now take the shot. Nice. No grazes or glancing blows this time. The Viper goes down. Alright, we'll move Pierce up and take one more shot before the round's end, but then we'll have to wait and see what the mech does, and that might end up getting the beast killed.
Hard target, minimal damage.
Oh, well, taking a flanking shot, huh? Ooh, thank goodness. Okay, that could have been bad. For some reason, I just didn't really imagine a scenario where the mech would just walk right around the cover and start shooting from a flanking position. But fortunately, these things are about as accurate as a weather forecast. Okay, let's take this mech out real quick, and then we can gun down that relay. We'll let the beast do the honors. He's living on the edge. Only one hit point left, and he's still willing to take on a killer robot mano-a-mano. And as an added bonus, we even get a little bit of loot.
Oh, tech guys will love this.
Michael will reward the beast's psychotic bravery with some quick patching up.
Me dirijo allí. Calma, soldado.
And now we'll start moving up the rest of the guys, being careful not to step in our own cloud of acid.
Understood. Moving out.
And we'll start taking apart that relay.
Heading to that location.
I feel like that was easier than I was expecting.
Menace 1-5, we've confirmed destruction of the relay. The alien transmission is down. Eliminate any remaining hostiles and move to evac.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but usually those alien devices have a dozen or more hit points. Okay, so there's at least one more Advent pod somewhere on the board. We have no idea where it is. So I think this turn we're just going to hang back, reload our guns, and get ready to shoot anything that comes at us.
Preparado. A ello voy.
Though I will say I'm becoming increasingly disenchanted with these new tunnel maps.
Let's rock.
They were interesting at first, but now they're just starting to feel too claustrophobic and restrictive.
I'm on the move. Oh yeah. Moving out. It's killing time. Schon unterwegs. Waffe geladen.
Hi there!
Enemigo destruido. Habe Blickkontakt zu einer Adventstellung.
I guess that other Advent trooper wisely decided to keep his head down. Well, I'm tempted to just blow the wall down with a grenade, but I'm not sure exactly where he is, so I'm not sure if this is actually a good use of a grenade. I think we're actually just better off hanging back and staying on Overwatch. This guy's gonna poke his head out again anyway.
Scanning. Afirmativo. Cubriendo. On Overwatch. Overwatch.
And there he is. And there he goes.
Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
Well, that was a nice, easy mission to warm up with. Hopefully the next one will be a little more challenging.
And despite the destruction left in their wake, XCOM refuses to let go of the ways of the old world. They will continue their wanton and reckless crimes until the entire world burns around them. We are grateful to the Elders for their support in ending this menace once and for all.
Right. I guess we did have 2 serious injuries in there, so maybe not as easy as I thought. But we've also got promotions across the board, so let's take a look. Michaelum's up a level, so that means he gets medical protocol. The Beast will, of course, get Blade Master. And Messer, we'll give him Long Watch. It's a great tactical ability, but I will be speccing him more towards pistols later, so he can get into the thick of things. And Pierce, it looks like Pierce was inspired by Messer, and has also decided to become a sharpshooter. Operation Blinding Rain. You know what? Using the codename really does make it easier to ignore the guilt that usually comes with these operations of ours. Anyway, Operation Blinding Rain had been reasonably successful. The relay was destroyed, the Avenger was safe, and all of our men had come back more or less intact. We'd even managed to salvage a decent amount of supplies from the Advent relay station, and Tygan was particularly excited at the idea of having some new corpses to dissect. He and his assistants were still busy with that magnetic weaponry project they'd started last week, but I could see him practically drooling as he watched us cart the Viper off to cold storage. With everything quiet, at least for the moment, I ordered Bradford to resume communication attempts with that group of truck thieves in Western Africa, and I headed down to check on our engineering crew. They'd made a bit more progress since last time, cleaning out another room, and Lily wanted to know what we should do with the space. I gave it some consideration, then decided I'd go ahead and indulge Bradford for once. He wanted a fancy meeting room to impress the other resistance leaders with, and the expenses he'd listed seemed pretty reasonable, so I gave Lily the go-ahead to get started on it. Before much longer, Bradford excitedly sprinted past me in the halls, crowing that they'd managed to make contact with a new resistance cell. I rode down with him on the Sky Ranger, but I let him do all the talking. Bradford just seemed to have a knack for getting smart people to agree with stupid ideas. He told them that it was in their best interest to start donating a portion of their future scores to XCOM, just in case anyone ever happened to tip Advent off to the location of their little shanty town. It seemed pretty heavy-handed to me, but the thieves quickly agreed to at least try out our protection plan for the short term. Apparently they'd been having some trouble with some guy named the Warlock. I guess Bradford wasn't the only guy who loved giving horrible things cute little nicknames. The truck thieves recommended that we contact another resistance group in Brazil who would know more about this Warlock guy. But the only reasonable way to do that was to set up some long-range communications equipment. It seemed like a reasonable idea, so I ordered our support team to get to work on it. Construction on the new radio tower was going to take the better part of a week, so I kept myself busy around the Avenger. The meeting room, the resistance ring, as Bradford asked me to call it, had been completed, so it seemed like a good time to have our first official meeting. I had my reservations about Bradford's greed, Volk's drinking, and Bedos's unchecked bloodlust, but I'll admit, the first meeting actually went rather well. They concisely presented me with a number of potential leads that we could follow up on. One of our newest recruits, Cazador, had been going on and on about the cult she grew up with, some jokers who called themselves the Templars. I hadn't paid her much mind, but that changed when the rest of the resistance leaders all agreed it was a good idea to get in touch with them. Never one to go against the majority vote, I agreed to reach out to the Templars. Sergeant Phoenix would act as our representative, and Cazador would tag along to add a bit more weight to our request for an alliance. With that taken care of, we adjourned our first official meeting of the Mines. And just in time, because word quickly passed down the line warning of an impending Advent assault on that camp of truck thieves that we had just worked out a tentative protection plan with. Much like the attack on the arsonist camp, the timing here seemed awfully convenient. I eyed Bradford suspiciously as we both rushed up to the bridge to address the new crisis, but he put on a pretty convincing act, pretending that he was just as surprised by this turn of events as I was. But this wasn't the time for making accusations anyway. There were lives on the line. We would be dropping into a hot combat zone, so we were going to need a team of our most capable killers. I chose Dragonova to lead up the squad and backed her up with Greenguard, Betrayer, Demon, and Altex. Operation First Rage was going to be a tough one, but if they couldn't handle it, then no one could.
We just picked up an emergency signal from one of the resistance camps. The aliens are sweeping the whole area, taking out anyone they can find. We're moving in to put a stop to it, and protect as many people as we can. Secure the site, and neutralize all hostile contacts. One of those chosen is leading an assault on the resistance encampment in this area. Our people are doing what they can to fight back, but we need to help protect the civilians trapped nearby. There's a group of resistance soldiers hunkered down not far from your position. Move in and help fend off the attacking alien forces.
Okay, well this is something new. It's not the sort of Haven defense mission that I'm used to, but more importantly, this is a terrible starting position. We actually started really close to the people we need to rescue, but it's going to take us at least 3 or 4 turns to get to them, because we have to go down these cliffs and then up those other cliffs. So I'm predicting we're going to see a lot of civilian casualties while we're busy rock climbing. Unfortunately, there's not even much in the way of cover here, so I can't afford to sprint across and make things go a little faster. I have to hang back and keep an eye out just in case there's an enemy pod right at the top of one of those cliffs. I guess I'll move at least 1 or 2 guys up on top of this second plateau. That way I can hopefully get visual on any nearby enemy pods.
Already there.
Actually, let's move our sniper into that second position.
Go, go, go!
He could actually do some damage from there.
On the move.
Well, there he is. Falmon Comain, the warlock known as Dawn Slayer. Now let's see here. His attacks decrease my soldiers' willpower. He regains health when my soldiers get injured. He's easier to hit from elevation, and he takes bonus damage from skirmishers. But of course we didn't bring a skirmisher with us.
You fall to the Elder's greatest warrior.
Now, just as a quick heads up, I haven't had a chance to fight this guy before, so things are probably going to get a little interesting. Oh wow, we're up against our first mutons already? And there's our first civilian casualty. Knew that was coming.
Commander, Advent isn't backing off. They've got units in the AO that are ignoring our forces just to get a better shot at the civilians. Take those bastards down.
Well, at least these resistance fighters actually shoot back at Advent, though they're not very good at hugging cover.
I will sacrifice you for the Elder's blessings.
Okay, well, if I want to get up this cliff face this turn, there's really only one viable spot I can go.
You will never hide from me.
And there's that muton, plus I see a mech hiding back there behind the tree.
It looks like they're still serving as the aliens' front line, though.
Unfortunately, Karn doesn't have any line of sight from his current position, so maybe I can goad these guys into moving a little closer.
Moving out.
The target is marked.
Ah, that did it. Well, let's see where they go. Okay, well they did indeed move closer, but unfortunately Karn still doesn't have a very good shot on them. And now Dragonova and Greenguard are in a bad position. I want to bring Demon up a little closer, but I don't see a good spot for him. Alright, well, all or nothing time. Let's risk it. Okay, I can just barely cover both of these enemies with a single grenade, and hopefully this will knock out most of their cover as well. Alright, well it did strip off most of their armor, and it did take out the soft cover, but unfortunately that tree is still there. And Karn still has a pretty low chance to hit that Muton. I hate to blow our Claymore this early in the battle, but I think I have to try to blow up that tree stump. But first let's take a quick look at the other options we might have available to us. Altex is too far away to really do anything, and Green Guard has a pretty good shot on the mech, though he has no chance of killing it in one shot. I might be better off focus firing on that mech and dropping it before it gets a turn, and then just taking my chances with the Muton. But then again, the Muton has a plasma grenade, so let's go ahead and see if we can knock out that tree stump. Now, unfortunately, because Dragonova has already used an action moving this turn, I need someone else to set off the Claymore for her. So let's have Altex go ahead and take care of that.
Heading to that location.
Alright, well that did push the Muton to the brink of death, but unfortunately that damn tree stump is still there. Screw it. Blood for the Blood God and so forth. Let's take our chances. When will I learn to stop doubting the Blood God?
We cross time and space to serve the elders. Even the smallest strike, the elders' vengeance is carried forth. This, then, for all traitors in your resistance. They are mine to control.
Okay.
No place for you to go now. At least we know where they are! They found us.
Well, I'm not thrilled with how that turn went. We lost another resistance member, and we took some light micro-missile damage. But all things considered, that could have been worse. We do have this spectral zombie on the field, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm assuming it's just like a transparent zombie.
Moving out.
So let's get our guys to better cover, and then we'll take it out. Nice, an Illyrium core. We can always use more of those. But we did just activate another enemy pod. But let's not worry about that just yet. We need to finish off this mech. Though I could also take out that zombie in one shot. Actually, before we commit Dragonova to taking an action, let's see what our other soldiers can do. We want to take down these Advent Peacekeepers as efficiently as possible. Khorne has a decent chance to take out that Advent Trooper, and Altex could Blade Rush at least 2 targets, but he'd be stuck outside of cover. Anyone can take out the mech, so let's go ahead and finish the zombie first. Huh, well, never mind. Okay, the zombie's still on the field with 1 hit point. I guess someone else will have to finish it off. Let's see here. That cactus actually makes for some pretty good cover, so let's move Green Guard up there. And we'll have him finish off the mech that's behind him. There we go. And then Altex can't reasonably hit the sectoid or the trooper with his shotgun, so I think he's better off taking out this zombie for us. That will free up Demon to shoot at a different target. Oh, well.
Succumb to the perils of battle.
Note to self. Ghost zombies explode. That's not good. Alright, well at least Demon's not dead, but it does mean we're down a man pretty early in the mission. Ah, I forgot to offer a prayer to the Blood God.
I'll get him next.
We will bring this resistance to a close.
I'm under fire!
There's a large group of civilians pinned down within range of your position. Sensors indicate hostile forces are closing in fast. We need to get in there before the aliens slaughter those people.
I am nearly upon you.
Well, I guess so many of the first batch of civilians died that they felt it was time to let me know about a second group of civilians. That's reassuring. Well, we need to start this turn by stabilizing Demon. That way we won't have to worry about evacuating him onto the Sky Ranger. And that knocks the Trooper off the board. So far so good. Now we still need to knock that Sectoid off the board, and I think the person for that job is Altex. Yes, he is within range for a Blade Rush, so let's do that.
Hostile neutralized.
The resistance team is in the clear. They're moving to help the other survivors.
It has been so long since I have seen a sword thrust in pure hatred.
Well, we saved 3 civilians. That's something. And that Warlock guy is weirding me out. That's something too.
Double time.
And we need to get Dragonova back into stealth.
Reaper, your kind are among the most cowardly of the resistance. At least your allies stand and die in battle with some semblance of decorum.
And it looks like we lost another 2 civilians. But at least they're shooting back now. And that's our 3rd enemy pod over there. Between them and the Chosen, we've still got some serious fighting to do.
You will make a fitting sacrifice for the elders.
Okay, now, we know that the Chosen is weak against shots from elevation, so let's get our guys up onto rooftops where possible. And we need to start moving Dragonova up so she can spot enemy pods for us. Oh, right, and we still need to put her under stealth.
Let the hunt begin. I go where you tell me.
No visual on any enemies yet, so that means I can move the rest of my guys up as long as they stay behind her.
No need to ask twice. Got it, moving. I'm on it.
Fight for the glory of the elders.
And there go 3 more civilians. And the Warlock is putting another zombie on the board.
The time for hiding is over.
That damn thing just blew Dragonova's cover again.
Adjusting sights.
But hey, the Resistance actually managed to take down a stun lancer. Good for you guys. Okay, well, first I need to move everyone away from that psychic zombie. Also, I'm pleased to see that Dragonova is actually still under stealth. I'm not sure why she, I could have sworn she said something about losing stealth when the zombie showed up, but whatever.
An alien patrol.
Now she has visual on the closest enemy pod, and I am going to see if Karn can take advantage of that. Blood for the Blood God? Indeed, the bloodiest.
It's down.
Okay, now we do need to take out this zombie, but before we can do that, we need to move Green Guard and Altex away from it.
Moving to position.
There's just not a lot of ideally placed cover here to choose from. So I guess Green Guard will start heading this way. Maybe he can get visual on the other pod for next turn.
Moving to designated coordinates.
No pod in sight, so let's go ahead and... Ah, of course.
Adjusting aim.
Altex? Yikes. So glad I moved away from it this time.
They should feel proud in having died for the glory of the Elders.
No one
Bring the Elders' mercy to the godless.
Well, it looks like we rattled Advent, because they're missing all their shots now. And the Resistance actually drops another trooper. And there's another solid hit on that Lancer. I wonder if they'd actually start shooting at the Chosen if they had the chance. Oh, and then we still have that Purifier over there, too. No, thank you. Now, let's start inching forward again. We want to get visual on another enemy pod.
Commander.
Oh, actually, now that I look at it, we are in desperate need of some reloading actions here.
Heading out. Reloaded. Heading out. Oh yeah.
And I think Karn needs to start moving up with the rest of us, too.
Moving to designated coordinates.
Now let's edge Dragonova a little farther forward.
Moving out. An alien scouting party.
There we go. Okay, we've got the Purifier on the map. Oh, and there's the other pod as well, and the Chosen. Nice, there goes another Stun Lancer.
There will be a reckoning for all of your offenses against the Elders, Commander.
No luck on the Purifier, though. Now this is where it gets real. We're finally within shooting range of that Warlock. I'm sure he's going to surprise us with some other new tricks. No good angles from our current position, so we're going to need to start moving people even closer. Not a lot of ideal approaches, but let's start by moving Altex up and seeing if he can do something about that trooper.
On the move!
Nicely done.
Target disabled.
My power cannot be compared to these lower forms of life.
Now, if I could just find a good spot for Greenguard to move to, maybe we could do something about that other Peacekeeper.
Okay.
I guess that's as good as it's going to get, so, well, it was worth a shot.
I got nothing.
Then we'll bring Karn a little closer, and I'd like to get him on elevated, but he can't quite reach there, so... pistol shot? Blood for the Blood God? You have got to be kidding me. Okay, well that just leaves the Chosen, so let's go ahead and see if we can start moving Dragonova into a flanking position, and hopefully we can make short work of this guy. Well, the most ideal approach is blocked off by a fire, so it looks like she's going to need to hop across this destroyed RV.
Volk says I am to obey. I know where you are.
Oh dear.
We are compromised.
Well, there goes her stealth, and she can't possibly move far enough with her remaining action to get clear of this thing. So I guess our best bet is to just lean into it. Take a shot at it, do a little damage, then see what it does in response. He doesn't look very impressed. But at least he's going for a civilian. Oh, and he missed.
They have me sighted in.
The great commander of Earth Resistance returns to the field of battle after serving my masters so very well for so many years. Come, show me why the Elders favor you so.
That's the Elder's Warlock. All reports indicate he's nearly as dangerous as they are.
Okay. Okay, well, he just dazed Altex, but that's nothing we haven't seen before. I am not too worried about that. And we've still got 3 Resistance fighters on the board, too, so it'll be nice to see if they'll help us against the Chosen, once we've gotten this Faceless out of the way.
Damn it, one of our soldiers is down. They're vulnerable to the Chosen's attacks in that state. Get them back on their feet ASAP. Understood. Moving out. Get up and get back out there.
There we go. Problem solved.
A rescue attempt. And at what cost, I wonder. We shall see, Commander.
Shut up, Warlock. It's Blood God time. Good grief. Blood God OP, man. Blood God OP.
The Elders created them for this very purpose. In that respect, they are fulfilled.
Okay, well, I can't actually flank him now because he's behind that cactus. And although I woke up Altex, he is still suffering some lingering effects from that daze attack. So let's just take a pot shot or two, see if we can keep this guy's head down for now.
I go where you tell me. Volk would be disappointed.
Forget Volk. I'm disappointed.
That's affirmative.
No, 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 no. Misclick. Ah, jeez, I'm gonna pay for that. Okay, instead of taking another pot shot, let's go ahead and aid protocol on Altex. Give him a slightly better chance of surviving to see the next turn.
They will serve me just as they serve my masters.
I've got eyes on Advent troops.
Okay, so he summoned a trooper, no big deal.
Run.
Oh, and he's mind controlling. That is a big deal. No. No.
They will die to ensure that I live.
Watch it. That thing is taking control of our soldiers.
A curious outcome.
Okay, that wasn't bad at all. Altex fought off the attempt to control his mind. He is still alive. We've got one more trooper on the field, but he's already almost dead. And I did see one Resistance member take a pot shot at the Warlock, so they will help us shoot him. Let's get Karn up into an elevated position. Maybe he can help us finally start whittling down the Warlock's health. Dragonova needs to reload, so let's take care of that.
Loading fresh ammo.
We'll move Altex over behind this tree in preparation for next turn.
I'm all over it.
Let's see if we can go ahead and drop this Advent Trooper. There we go.
One of many.
And let's start edging Green Guard closer. Though, once again, I'm not seeing any real good approaches here. Alright, I guess this'll have to do.
Orders confirmed. Moving out. Come on, focus!
I had expected nothing less than failure. I am the best. It is but a momentary reprieve for you.
Is it? What exactly was that supposed to do? Look, if you want to waste your turn doing nothing, that's fine with me.
Come, squander your lives as it is fated.
Okay, Altex is finally back in it. So it's time to move in for the kill.
Position confirmed.
Now, Altex could do a decent chunk of damage with his shotgun, but I think I'd rather take out this guy's cover
Get ready
instead.
for a surprise!
That opens him up to flanking shots from pretty much everyone else. Though, for some reason, Karn still doesn't have visual on him, so I guess we'll have to move him up closer. Blood for the Blood God. Crit plus poisoned, of course.
Have dared to strike the Elder's greatest champion. I can see no end. The suffering you will endure in retribution.
On the move.
Nice, there's another crit. And is the... Okay, no, I almost thought the poison was going to kill him there for a moment. That would have been spectacular. Poor guy. Now he's just freaking out and running away. I almost feel bad for him. Oh, and there goes his cover. Now that I think about it, I'm actually going to be super annoyed if the Resistance fighters steal my kill here. Okay, good. We're still in it. Let's go ahead and grab that loot just to see what it is.
I will reposition.
Nice, a hair trigger. I can definitely make use of that.
Safely in tow.
And let's let Altex go to town on this guy.
Enemies down.
Note to self, warlocks explode. Okay, did the game freeze or... There we go.
Today, it is but another trial in my service to the Elders, and their vision foresees all outcomes.
Menace 1-5, you secured the remaining civilians and there are no other hostile contacts on the scope. Good work out there. Excellent work, Commander. We may not have put them down for good, but at the very least we've held off the Chosen for another day.
Advent officials announced an increase to this month's recruitment quotas. Citizens are encouraged to voluntarily visit their nearest recruitment center. Remember, only together can we build a better tomorrow.
The Elders Chosen are incredibly resilient. Despite our victory over them today, we still have much to learn if we wish to destroy them permanently.
Okay, that was a pretty tough fight. We've got 3 wounded, including 1 gravely wounded, but everyone survived, so let's take a look at our promotions. Let's go ahead and grab Revival Protocol for Green Guard. I'd love to take Haywire Protocol, but that's going to have to wait for now. Now, Karn, as our resident Avatar of Death, is going to pick up Lightning Hands, because who doesn't like getting free attack actions? You really don't want to underestimate those pistols, because I think we all saw him blow up that purifier with 1 shot. Now, unfortunately, Demon was down for most of the fight, but at least he got promoted. And I'm not a big fan of Demolition. I can see the value of taking out cover, but it costs a lot of bullets, and you can do the same thing with grenades. I generally lean toward Suppression instead, because it's as close as you're going to get to a crowd control ability for most of your soldiers. And Altex will, of course, take Shadow Step. As I've said before, being able to ignore your enemy's overwatch is invaluable. Operation First Rage had led to a grueling, bloody ground battle, but it had ultimately been more or less successful. Sure, almost half the truck thieves had been slaughtered in the crossfire, but the survivors found XCOM so impressive, or maybe terrifying, that they had quickly agreed to increase our cut of their future earnings. They also delivered a literal truckload of salvage left over in the wake of the battle, and Tygan was first in line as we cataloged loot back on the Avenger, eagerly laying claim to yet another mutant hybrid that he was eager to get onto his autopsy table. Bradford was notably absent, but I think he was trying to deliberately avoid me so I wouldn't ask him any questions. I swung by the barracks before heading back to the bridge to check up on Demon. Apparently it was going to take him about 3 weeks to recover, and his near-death experience had really done a number on his confidence. And after what he'd been through, I can't say I really blame him. But I'll admit, I was more concerned about the guy who'd tried to kill him, the Warlock Dawnslayer. I hadn't really taken him seriously at first. I mean, who would? With a name like that, he sounds like a pretentious cosplayer. But apparently he was another one of the Chosen, like Mordenna, but without any of her charm. Mordenna played at being our enemy, disrupting some of our lesser operations and mauling the occasional soldier, but she had never actually killed anyone. This new guy, on the other hand, he had made his debut leading a kill squad that had gunned down multiple unarmed people. Sure, I'll be the first to admit my hands weren't exactly clean either, But I'd never order our men to gun down unarmed peacekeepers. We at least had the decency to make sure that they could shoot back before we mercilessly cut them down on the battlefield. This Dawn Slayer guy was going to be a problem.